Hey there, my friends. Do you ever feel like you're either running a never-ending marathon or stuck in quicksand? Today, we're going to dive into the art of finding your perfect pace, that sweet spot between being a constant doer and an exister. Trust me, this conversation could be a game changer for your family's happiness and your own fulfillment. Welcome back to Fulfillment Therapy, the podcast dedicated to helping parents improve their mental health, wellness, and fulfillment. I'm your host, Kendra Nielsen, and today we're exploring how to find the right pace in a life to thrive as a parent and a spouse. Recently, my husband told me, "Love, I think you need to work on your pace." And my instinct was to get defensive or justify, but instead, luckily, I practice being open and curious. And I've been thinking about it a lot since that conversation. A podcast episode when I get curious, and a podcast episode often follows with a lot of writing and research. So thank you for allowing me to be a podcast host because it helps me learn a lot about myself and helps me improve as well. Now let's talk about the spectrum of pace. So doers versus existers. Now this is something I came up with on my own, but I feel like it was a major epiphany for me, especially how it showcases different personality styles. Like in my marriage, I am the doer and my husband is the exister. Now, there's a lot of different words I could put in there for exister, but that's just a simple way to phrase it. Like some of us are just relax, go with the flow, taking things as they come. And the other one is proactively like, let's do. And they both have their virtues and vices. And this is all about what we can do to make sure we are improving ourselves, no matter if we are a doer or an exister, but taking that to the next level a little bit more. So what does a doer parent look like? The doer parent is constantly busy, always has a to-do list. They may struggle to relax or be present with their family, and they risk burnout because they can often neglect self-care, especially if they are an unhealthy doer in that vice side of the spectrum. So Sarah is a mother of 3, and she really prides herself on productivity. She volunteers at school, she works full-time, and she manages her home. However, she often feels exhausted and struggles to truly connect with her kids. Now, the exister parent tends to procrastinate and avoids responsibilities, and they might feel stuck or unfulfilled and risks missing out on personal growth and family experiences. So John is a stay-at-home dad, and he finds himself scrolling on social media for hours instead of engaging with his toddler or pursuing personal interests. Now let's talk about the virtue and vice of each extreme. Stephen Covey said, "The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities." Now I want to explore the doer virtues. The virtues are they accomplish many tasks, they set a productive example for kids, and they're often reliable and dependable. Now, the doer vices, they may prioritize tasks over relationships, they risk burnout and sometimes those stress-related health issues, and they can create a high-pressure environment for the family. I definitely see this with my clients. Like I was working with one lady, she was probably in her 60s, and she had never, in all of that time, done enough self-care for herself. It was all about doing for her kids, for everyone else, and she hadn't taken the time to slow down and to focus on things that matter most. While your family very much matters most, sometimes we take it to the extreme, to everyone's detriment. Now let's talk about the exister. So the exister virtues are they're often more present in the moment, relaxed and easygoing, and they can create that calm home environment. But the vices of the exister is they neglect important responsibilities. And they often risk feeling unfulfilled or purposeless or listless. And they can set that example of complacency for the kids, of just existing in life instead of proactively designing your life to become your best self. Now, both of these, when I was really practicing some curiosity and willingness to check my ego at the door, I recognized that both of these spectrums have elements of escapism. They might both be escaping challenges of personal growth and meaningful engagement with life with that dopamine hit of scrolling social media, maybe for the exister, or crossing that thing off the to-do list for the doer. Again, doers may use busyness to avoid deeper emotional issues or relationship challenges, and existers might use passive activities to avoid confronting personal dissatisfaction or fears. Mark throws himself into work projects to avoid addressing communication issues and meanwhile his wife, say Lisa, is binge-watching TV shows instead of pursuing her dream of starting a small business. Both of them might be escaping, but potentially for different reasons and in different ways. How do we create that greater self-awareness and check our pace? I want you to ask yourself these questions. Do you often feel rushed, or do you frequently procrastinate? How much quality time do you spend with your family without distractions? Are you pursuing personal goals and growth, or are you feeling stagnant? Do you make time for self-care and relaxation? How often do you truly feel present in your daily activities? Nathaniel Branden said this: "The first step toward change is awareness. The second step is acceptance." So if we're using his model there, the first step towards change is knowing that, hey, yeah, I am a doer, or I am an exister. I am predominantly an exister or a doer. Maybe there's moments when you're not, but predominantly you're usually one or the other. And the second step is, okay, I accept that. Now what can I do about it? So the first step is that awareness and the acceptance, and then it's leaning into it a little bit. How are you escaping? And what can you change to make that more into a virtue instead of having it reside in that vice side, that unhealthy side of the spectrum too much? Because it can be a massive gift, and that vice can take over, so it is harming other people in the family besides just yourself. Now let's talk about how we can find a balanced pace. Zig Ziglar teaches, life is about balance. Be kind, but don't let people abuse you. Trust, but don't be deceived. Be content, but never stop improving yourself. So it's important to be content, but don't stop your pursuit to improve for not only yourself, but your family as well. So now I'm going to talk to the doers first, because I can be a doer. It should not surprise you all the things that I do or talk about, but mostly this is my superpower, and I love this about me. But the vice side, when I'm not healthy and balanced, is when I start to be too preoccupied that I'm not present for my family, or when I think that tasks become more important than people. So what you can do for doers is you can practice mindfulness and being present with your family. One thing I try to do is I set those mantras or those affirmations or those future visions of doing those things, like being more present, and I will remind myself of that again and again. I have this mantra that I started in 2025 that it says, I am calm, and it's an acronym, CALM. I am considerate. I am attentive. I am loving. I am mindful. All of those things that I want to highlight for the year to be more present for my family. The next one is schedule downtime and stick to it. Like, these are boundaries. I tell myself I will not work past 3, and I really try to stick to that so I can be present for my family in the evening. Now, sometimes I have to be careful because I'll fill it with other things that are not work, but it's just work in a different form. Oh, I'll pick up this project and I will start journaling and I'll do this and this, and I'm missing the point here. I'm not relaxing and being present with my family. And I wonder if you're doing that as well. The next one is delegate tasks and learn to say no. Some people, I've had plenty of clients that really struggle with this. Like, they're not able to say no to a lot of things they're excited about, and they struggle farming things out. I really had to learn how to ask my family for help, especially when I started grad school, and I couldn't do it all on my own anymore. Now, these things do not get done as well as when I did them, and yet everybody is happier. We let things go more and we let it be, and that's okay. Knowing that after dinner, we're all going to clean up together, we can let that go in this stage of life and just know that it's going to be clean at different times of day, and we can let go of the rest. Now, for existers, you can set small, achievable goals each day. It's just simple, tiny things. And if you really struggle with that, get an accountability partner. Find accountability partners for personal projects. I know my husband really needs this because he is very much the epitome of an exister, and he can struggle with follow through. So if he has somebody, preferably not me, because sometimes that causes its own problems, but somebody else that he can report to, he really has a lot more momentum. The third one is create a routine that includes productive activities and family time. So how can we take your life to the next level? Regardless of where you fall on that spectrum, challenging yourself to grow really is important for fulfillment. Identify just one simple area you want to improve and set a specific and measurable goal for that, and break that down into tiny little steps. Share your goal with an accountability partner. Maybe it's your family member, whoever that is. If you are a doer parent, your goal might be to have a weekly technology-free family game night. But if you're an exister, you might want to start a small side business or volunteer once a month. Here are a few reflection questions to help. What activities or behaviors do I use to escape from challenges in my life? How does my current pace affect my relationships with my spouse and children? What's one small change I can make this week to move towards a healthier pace? What personal growth goal have I been putting off and why? Remember, my friends, it is not about perfection, but simply progress. So those small, consistent steps really can lead to significant changes in your life and in your family's life. And it's important, again, to model those things for our kids. Here are the key takeaways from today. Both extremes, being either too busy or too idle, can be forms of escapism. But self-awareness is crucial for identifying your current pace and its impact, again, not just on you, but on your kids or other loved ones. Challenging yourself to grow regardless of your starting point is the key to fulfillment. And those small, consistent changes can lead to significant improvements in your life and your relationships if you will allow yourself to grow and let go of that ego for a little bit and just get curious like I did. Had to put aside the ego for that one. All right, my friends, best of luck in identifying if you are a doer or an exister and what you can do to improve your pace for you and your children. Thanks for tuning in to Fulfillment Therapy today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on finding your ideal pace as a spouse and parent. You can reach out to us on Instagram or on Facebook. All of those links for where you can find us everywhere are in the show notes. You could also email us at hello@fulfillmenttherapy.org. And don't forget to check out our courses on fulfillmenttherapy.org if you want to take your life or even your business to the next level. Until next time, my friends, this is Kendra Nielsen reminding you that you have the power to create a fulfilling life at a pace that works for you and for your family, and that will help you live a fuller life without regret. Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, chances are someone else would too. Would you take 30 seconds to share this with a friend who's looking for greater family fulfillment? And while you're sharing, tell me what you think about the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It refuels me when I hear this podcast is helping you, no matter what your house or your hair looks like. I'll meet you back here every Monday and Thursday morning for more episodes. Until then.